What's up? I'm Troubleshoot. It's Thursday, the 10th of July. Let's go ahead and speak about today's brand new Rust skins, speculate about price, and so on. This week, unfortunately, SCMM is still having a few issues. There's issues with the website and hosting, so price speculations are not going to be so as in-depth as usual, as the website is completely offline. Either that'll be resolved or I'll have some sort of website alternative. If you know of anything, do let me know down below, and well, hopefully we can get something sorted there. But for now, let's have a look at this week's brand new Rust skins, check them out in game, and maybe a bit more. This week we've got 9 brand new Rust skins. We'll start off with the most expensive skins as usual. There's quite a few of them at $2.50 this week. The Deep Ruby Rock, part of the Deep Ruby set, Funerary Backpack, pretty cool looking, Impact Protocol Salvaged Icepick, Neon Meat Fridge, Nuke Vibe Door, and the Sinotype Firearms box. Then, for just $2, the Señor Tomato hammer and the Wasp AR, and finally the cheapest item this week, the Black Diamond Boots. Let's have a look at all of these in-game. Starting off at the very top, we've got the Deep Ruby Rock, a relatively expensive rock skin, although personally this isn't exactly a favorite of mine. I've been pretty vocal about this Deep Ruby set, and this is yet another entry in that series. If you're a fan of the Deep Ruby set, this is obviously going to be on your watch list. Otherwise, well, it's probably going to be in the same place as mine, in anywhere but my inventory. I've been pretty vocal about not liking this kind of skin, and well, based on the market for previous skins, the Deep Ruby set hasn't been doing too well, but we'll get into that in just a bit. Then, the Impact Protocol Salvaged Icepick. This is super clean looking. I'm getting League of Legends type vibes from the top of this with the different kinds of metals stuck together, but this welded together salvaged Icepick looks really clean in my opinion. I like how all these metals have been stuck together. Not too sure what the purpose of the gold/bronze one at the very top is, but the rest of it definitely does look very fitting, and I like it quite a bit. Not too sure what the writing and logo is supposed to be, other than just flavor text. Maybe there's some kind of meaning to it. Mark II Moo, and there's also a logo on the backside here, which is visible from the play side as well. Not too sure what it all means. Definitely a super clean looking pickaxe. I really like how this thing looks. If we flick over to nighttime for both of these skins, you'll see that they vanish pretty much completely, both in first for the Icepick and the original rock that we saw, as well as in third person. You can barely tell what's going on here. The same for the salvaged Icepick over here. Super dark, definitely no emission from any of these in any way. Then from here, the first and only ranged weapon this week. This is the brand new Wasp AR, which is a very angry looking, I don't know, this wasp really reminds me of the wasps from Rick and Morty. It looks very metallic/robot-y, definitely very clean. I like how this thing looks. We'll have a look from the third person right now, just so you can see how clean this thing is on the outside. We've got the same arrows that we saw in the previous week with the other wasp skin. This one is definitely way more visible for what it's supposed to be. Unlike the art style overall, although obviously not everyone is into this sort of graffiti type skin, while the artwork is definitely, I'd say, a lot cleaner on this entry, the rest of the skin, well, might not be for everyone. It's got this weathered, rusted, coppery type look to it, which might not be for everyone. The artwork/graffiti is definitely very clean. If we have a look from the first person, you can see exactly what the iron sight looks like. There's a very small amount of red on top of the front iron sight. As for the rest of it, I definitely think this is all pretty much default. If we flick over to nighttime though, here's what the gun looks like at nighttime. It completely vanishes, although it is a tiny bit still visible here, and if we scope in, you can just barely see where the center is over there. There's no bright emission or anything on that, which might have been quite nice to see, but here it basically all but vanishes into the dark. Then from here, the $2 Señor Tomato hammer. This is yet another Señor Tomato thing that we've seen. The previous one, and only one I think we've seen, was a rock and a door, if I'm not mistaken. This is another entry with the same exact sort of 3D texture on it. If you're a fan of friendly looking Rust skins, this is definitely a very friendly one. I don't think we've seen many friendly hammers before. We've definitely seen many friendly rocks. So this is a pretty nice addition to have. Definitely very cute. On the front side, it's obviously got the face, and on the back, it's just a tomatoey / I don't know, strawberry looking skin. Nothing too crazy about it. The play side is the only side with a very adorable face with these super shiny eyes. I love how this thing looks. Obviously though, your opinion may differ. Then from here, we've got 2 wearables this week. You can already see the backpack over here. The Funerary Backpack for $2.50 sports these two chains of bullets on the front, which are definitely very intimidating to say the least, with a couple of crossbones on this little attachment / clip or something like that on the backpack, as well as down here the other clip has a similar skull and separate crossbones on it as well, with pistol bullets down here just underneath. We've got, I guess, 5.5 bullets around the front, all the way to the top shoulders over here, which sport even more bullets, all the way onto 5.5 along the back straps and things like that. Obviously, if these were functional, you'd have tons of extra ammo storage, but they're just for looks. And on the back, we have this very cool looking hand across the top, and down on the bottom section, the skull peeking through as well. This is a really cool design with these peeking out of the backpack. It really does have a lot of depth. As for how it looks, there we go. We can see what's going on here. We've got this black, veiny / distorted looking plastic with a bunch of teeth / bones sticking out of it. This thing really does look super 3D. The effect really does come out super well on this, and something I didn't really cover before, but along the front of the backpack, we've got a rib cage here. So if we chuck it out, you can see here how the rib cage pokes out of it. This really does look super 3D. I love how this thing looks. It's definitely one of the more creative backpacks that I've seen in-game thus far. If there's anything I'm purchasing this week, it's likely going to be this backpack here, just because of how cool this thing looks. Then from here, the final wearable this week is all the way down here. These are the black diamond boots for $1.50. They're super shiny and really clean looking, a nice black and silver type combination. Obviously, it's not going to be for everyone, but these do look really nice and clean during the day. As for a blackout type vibe, they are a bit more silver further away than black. And of course, if we flick over to nighttime, these things do vanish just as well as the rest of the skins, backpacks, and things like that. There is zero emission from any of the skins this week thus far. So obviously, if you're planning on being stealthy with these could be added to some kind of blackout set, as the backpack is nice and blacked out, and so are these shoes here. If not a little bit more shiny and silver, then completely blacked out, but I can see them vanishing relatively well. Now, the only thing we've got left this week are building skins, and this week we've got a really shiny neon looking, I guess this is Japanese writing, large box, the Sinotype Firearms box, so you can keep all of your weapons in here. If you're not a fan of labeled boxes and things like that, and you'd rather have nice iconography, this is definitely a really clean looking box that you can quickly see what you're looking for. Pistols on the front. I guess this is supposed to be a Python or I guess revolver of some type with a really clean looking AK on top of it. It really does look very nice. And of course, if you've got a neon type vibe going on in the rest of your base, this would be a very nice addition to it. If we flick over to nighttime, you can see all that glows on this is the neon light strips across the side, top, which is the writing, the actual icon itself of each weapon, and of course, it reflects or shines off of the background. At least that's how it's painted to look. It does look relatively 3D from here. Although the effect isn't super strong, I definitely do like how it looks. And of course, if you're going for a neon type base, this thing would fit pretty much perfectly. It's really not bad at all. Then a continuation in the neon series, we've got the neon meat fridge. Obviously, you might be storing a bit more than just meat in your fridge, especially if you're on vanilla, but until we have a fruit and veg fridge, this is the best fridge skin that we have from the neon set, sporting just meat. Obviously, if you collect a lot of it and you have enough to put in separate fridges when that one comes out, yeah, it really doesn't look that bad. It's arguably one of the better looking neon skins with quite a bit of transparency, which is nice to see. Previously, we saw the neon farm door recently, and this is yet another addition to the ever-growing neon set, which is quite busy. We'll have a look at the prices of those in just a second. The final item this week is another Nuke item. Previously, we saw a garage door in the same flavor, but this week we've got this single door over here. If you liked how the garage door looked previously, which I didn't think was going to do too well, it actually did surprisingly well. This one might be joining the same ranks, but nobody can be sure about price. We'll speak about that in just a second. It looks a bit more mechanical than the last one with these metal ribs and teeth sticking out of it, I would think. I don't remember those being on the garage door from the previous week, and it does look really 3D with these pipes and things coming out of it. The backside is just a copy of the front, nothing too crazy here, and emission should be pretty similar to what we saw from the garage door as well. I think it was last week. If we flick over to nighttime, you can see what is glowing on each of these skins. We already had a look at the box, but on this garage door over here, it's these two little chem lights or something at the top, emitting a light onto the rest of it, or at least it's painted to look that way. There's two nuclear symbols, one on the door handle over here and one on the eye of this skull over here. Definitely super ominous. I like the art style, but this door isn't exactly for me, as the garage door wasn't either last week. Maybe it's for you, maybe not. Then the fridge over here glows very, very predictably. It does look nice in 3D with how it's done, reflecting off of just the right surfaces. I like the scrap metal looking bits, and it looks like the meat over here loses its actual texture when it comes to glowing at nighttime. Whereas in the day, you can see it definitely looks more like meat than it did just a moment ago. But yeah, with that, we've checked out all of these skins in-game. Now, unfortunately, we'd usually get to looking at prices right now, but SCMM is having some serious issues. I was thinking about sticking something together myself, but I haven't got around to that just yet, and that is a huge amount of work. Maybe that's on the to-do list, but for now at least, we'll just need to work around using other means. And unfortunately, I can't see detailed prices and price histories for previous items in similar sets, so I'll just have to go off of some relatively accurate information from the last week or two based on some of the sets that we've seen coming out relatively recently. But without further ado, let's have a look at these things, their prices, and speculate about their future. Obviously, price speculation is just a wild guess. My guess is as good as yours. If you want to buy skins to sell them for a profit in the future, I'm not the person to listen to. Do your own research. Of course, this is just purely for entertainment, looking at similar skins, similar prices, and making some wild guesstimations of where these skins will go in the future. So let's get into it. Let's quickly speak about how well some of these items are selling. Starting off at the very top of the black diamond boots. Right now, it's a couple of hours into the sale, and currently these boots have sold at least 853 times, which is relatively respectable. Coming in right behind it is the deep ruby rock that we saw. Here you can see the rest of the deep ruby set with this rock. So yeah, it's definitely very close to the other skins that we've seen before, and this one sold a few less at least 786 copies, which isn't a huge amount. That's pretty much the polar opposite of the firearms container large box, which has sold at least 2,290 times, meaning that it's doing really, really well. The meat fridge from the Neon collection sold 1,800 times at least. The Impact Protocol Icepick has sold at least 2,300, so that's doing really, really well, and yeah, it definitely looks super, super clean. Yeah, really clean. The Nuke Vibe single sheet metal door sold at least 1,183 times here. I'm not too sure if we'll see the garage door here for comparison. No, but it's doing okay thus far. The Funerary Friend large backpack, transparent, I'm not too sure it was transparent here with this, compared to previous versions, has sold 850 times, so it's definitely struggling to sell this week, selling a similar amount as the diamond black boots thus far. Then the Señor Tomato hammer, definitely super cute, 1,300, it's right in the middle. Then finally the Wasp AK-47, 537 current subscribers, so I think this is the worst selling item this week thus far. Yeah, definitely. I would have thought the Deep Ruby Rock would have been there, but I guess this AK is there too. A little bit sad. So obviously, as SDMM is currently down, I don't have access to an accurate price history for most of these items other than in the Steam market, but the Nuke Vibe sheet metal door is similar to the Nuke Vibe garage door from last week. In fact, it's pretty much the same. You can see there's quite a bit less teeth and metal on this one. It originally sold at about $2.99 and it's now sitting at $2.41 on the Steam market, so it lost quite a bit of its value, unfortunately. I would think that this sheet metal door is going to follow the same path. Things aren't looking too healthy for this garage door just yet. On the 19th of June, we had the Deep Ruby hoodie and pants joining us, and even though they look okay, they're definitely not a favorite of mine, and the existing collection in the Steam community market obviously reflects that. Most of these skins have lost a lot of their value except for the pickaxe and sap, which actually gained about 20 to 40% of their value. I would expect these to probably go the same route as most of the other skins here, in that they won't be so profitable in the future, but that is just, of course, a wild guess. Then for the Neon Meat Fridge, the last Neon item we saw was the Neon Farm door from the 5th of June 2025. Obviously, we know the Neon set is pretty expansive. There's quite a few of these skins in the collection, and pretty much everything here has gained quite a bit of value, mostly to do with the large boxes, as there's a complete set of them for most of everything that you need. Small boxes are doing similarly well, but the most recent garage doors haven't been seeing too much luck. The same with the lockers over here. I would go out on a limb and say, as we're diving into new territory here, even though it is quite a bit more limited, having a fridge for just meat might not be as important as a box for just armor and just weapons, just sulfur, things like that. Similar to an exit and entrance door, maybe it's not too important in a base. Organization-wise, I don't think it's going to keep a lot of its value. It might go down like the rest of these here, as it's just a unique item. Then the Señor Tomato hammer, we previously saw the Señor Tomato rock back in the 3rd of March 2025 over here for $2, and around the same time, the 1st of April, we got the Señor Tomato door over here for $2. This week's Señor Tomato hammer is the same price as those, and obviously it's a bit different to the rock and door in that it's filling a slightly different category of item. At that time, the Señor Tomato rock lost about 10% of its value, down from $2, but right now, the Señor Tomato rock is sitting at around $1.80, and the Señor Tomato door is sitting at around 83 cents, so both of these have lost quite a bit of their value. I would go out on a limb and say, well, this tomato hammer is probably going to go in the same direction. QC skins haven't seen too much luck recently in Rust. Then the Wasp AK-47 we did previously see from the same collection over here, the MP5 Termite being accepted, which was this one over here, which released on the 19th of June for a solid $2 and has gone all the way down to $1.06. Although this isn't quite exactly the same look as the AK that we have this week, it's a slightly more colorful, slightly more covered in paint overall piece of artwork, but obviously based off of the MP5's performance in the market, I'd probably say this is going to go somewhere along the same route, sadly. Then the firearms container I don't think is part of a set. Yep, definitely not. There's not even a description here. It does look pretty cool, although a lot of large box skins have seen quite a huge dip in price, unless it's obviously part of the neon set and things like that. It is a neon type box, but sadly I don't really see anything too crazy happening here. And the same can be said about the black diamond boots over here. They are part of a collection. The black diamond collection, which has seen the AK, LR300, SMG, Thompson, face mask, chest plate, coffee can helmet, road sign pants, road sign vest, gloves, now boots, sap, hoodie, pants, and sleeping bag accepted. I would think the rest of these are coming along with it, but I unfortunately can't find any reputable info on prices for the rest of these as for what they sold for, what they're going for now, as I actually wasn't around on YouTube covering most of these as they came out, sadly. Overall, I do like how the set looks. I'm pretty sure the face mask and chest plate have gone up a little bit in value, but as for the rest of them, I don't think they've been doing too well, if I'm not mistaken. It's not a super blackouty type skin, even though here the front toe looks a lot more dark than it does in game. It's more of a shiny silver. Personally, I won't be picking these up, but hopefully I'm not making the wrong decision there. As for the Funerary Backpack, we've seen nothing like it. Obviously, quite a few backpacks have been Twitch drops, and most of them haven't been keeping too much of their value. I don't think this one's going to break that mold too much, but I really do like the 3D look in this. Is this something you're going to be purchasing? Do let me know down below. And then finally, the Impact Protocol Icepick. Again, I don't have too much concrete info on this. Unfortunately, hopefully next week, I'm going to have a bit more going on there. But for now, SCMM is down and I haven't really got too much to add to this other than I really like how this skin looks. And this is probably something I'll be picking up just to add to my personal collection, as we have only a handful of other ice picks which have been accepted. This one is one of the most unique and clean looking ones compared to the rest of them here, which I really do like. And also, not to mention here, the other ice picks that we've got came out a really long time ago, so there's only a handful of them circulating in the Steam marketplace, meaning that the price is super high, as this is one of the only affordable, if not the only affordable ice pick at the current point. buying it right now might be a pretty good idea. As for the future of this, based on these other skins, I can see a huge increase in price coming in the future. But that being said, if this sells tens of thousands of times by the end of the week, then obviously if the market is flooded with Icepicks, it's not going to be as expensive. That being said, a lot of people don't have Icepick skins at this current point in time, but how many people really want this kind of skin in their collection? It's a really tough one to guess, but based on everything else here, things look really good for this, and I'll definitely be picking it up. That's really all I have to say and let you know this week. Unfortunately, SEMM is down. I've tried to get in contact with the creator, but I haven't had too much luck there. Regardless though, hopefully you found this video interesting, if not somewhat useful. Thank you all for watching. My name's been Troubleshoot, and I'll see you all again next week. Ciao.